Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you all?
We are good. What about you?
Well, I'm pretty nervous talking to you guys. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question for
Yeah, hello, Siddhi. This is for you.
Thank you. So, which was the last book you read?
Well, the last book which I read was The Diary of a Young Girl, which was literally a diary written by a girl whose name is Anne Frank. You know, the book is. Do you want me to talk about the book?
Yeah, of course.
As I said, the book is a diary about this girl who wrote her experience when she was living in an annex because of war. I think you might have heard about Nazis and Hitler and what happened in that country. So this is the story about a war and what a war can do to we human, what it can do to us. And it's a very moving story about this girl who goes on writing about her experience living in an annex, cutting without having any kind of interaction without the world. They were in hiding. Actually, they were in hiding because of the government there. And you know what? My history is pretty weak, so I only read it because I was quite curious about reading a diary of a girl. You know, I wanted to know what was going with her life and how they survived living in hiding. We had a similar experience, but it was not that how to say it. It was not that disturbing. You know, we were in lockdown for a couple of years, but we were free enough to talk to our people. We were free enough to especially in villages, we were allowed to go out. But to be in hiding without, just imagine living in a hiding. You know, it was such a traumatic story, and the way she had written, and it was beautiful. You know what? To be that encouraging, to be that honest. You know what? Writing a diary is all about yourself, right? You are telling the world. You are writing it yourself. You are not writing it to publish it. But because of circumstances, because they were living in hiding, and the government had announced that after the war is over, they will publish some diaries. And Anne's diaries was such beautifully written. And I don't want to say the character, but the people in that book, some of them were so relatable to me, especially the 14-year-old girl and that boy who was with her, Peter. They were so relatable to me. I find so many similarities while reading that, and you know, it was such a good read. I lost the track of time. You know, I read it in 3 or 4 days. That explains how good of a book it was. So yeah.
I have one question for you.
There you go.
So, who is your favorite author and why?
Well, there are so many authors I like to read, but I'm more into reading manga. I think some of you may don't know what a manga is. Manga is Japanese comics in simple words, and there are so many whom I admire. I would say that it's a kind of religion to me. That's going way too ahead of myself, but it's kind of religion to me. I'm really into reading manga. I like few authors. Their names are very difficult to say, but I'll tell you the work they have done. For example, there is this author who is the artist along with the storyteller too. So he had written and made some of the best manga in the world. One of them is Vagabond, Real, and Slam Dunk. I really loved his work. And then there is, I would say, my all-time favorite, Punpun. His name is not Punpun, but his work name is Good Night Punpun. I really love his work. I was able to relate with that, even though the story was so dark, but the material into it was so relatable that I fell in love with in my very first read. Anything else?
So I have one question for you. So what makes Indian cinema different?
So, do you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, of course.
Why don't you repeat in your own word?
Okay, sure, I will do that. Talking about what makes Indian cinema different. I think, you know what, recently, especially in past 2 years, I have seen films from all over the world, from Korean films to Japanese films, from Hollywood to Chinese films. I have seen almost, you name it. You name a country, I might have seen a film from that. And what really makes our cinema different is that there are songs. I would say we express so many emotions just in a single film, right? There is drama, there is songs, there is family drama. So in genres there are sub-genres in our cinema, and what makes our cinema so different from others is that the 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 variety is there. I think there is variety. We have films like Swades, and we have films like Pathan. So there is the same filmmaker, Shahrukh Khan, who is the actor there. So if you see the film Swades, it is such an artistic film. But in our other hand, in other hand, we have film like Pathan, where it is just a commercial film. So our cinema is able to produce both kind of film, artistic along with the commercial films, and it works both ways. People are more into masala in our country, so that's why we get to see so many masala films, and this is what makes our cinema different, because and that is variety. We have variety. So who wants to ask next?
So I have a question.
Yeah, here you go.
So can you handle a class of 30 students?
Well, I don't think I can, especially if it is a spoken class. I'm getting trained here by Anand sir to handle a class, and I'm trying to get a teaching job, and of course it is in English. So to handle to handle a class of 30 students, I don't think I'm able to at the moment. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to train myself, and right now I think I'll be able to handle a student about 15 or less than 20. I think I can, because when you are conducting a spoken class, you have to be aware of your surrounding, right? You have to focus on every individual, and to be in 30, I think right now I don't think I can handle a student of 30 class. Who wants to ask next?
Yeah, I have a question for you, bro. Is it important to learn grammar to speak a language?
Your question is whether grammar is important to learn to speak a language or not. Well, to speak it, I don't think grammar is necessary, but it depends on where you are speaking and in what context you are learning a language. To have a normal conversation as we are having right now, there is no need of grammar, right? We can speak, and a conversation is all about having understanding of what the second person is saying. So if we are able to comprehend that, then there is no need of grammar. But talking about exam, talking about writing, talking about speaking formally, talking about speaking in an environment where etiquette is required, I think there requires grammar, right? But to have a normal conversation, I think grammar is not important. I may be wrong, but this is what I believe. Yeah, here you go, Sarah.
Last movie that made you cry?
You know what? I think to talk about the film which made me cry, I'm kind of shy to talk about that. You know what? People think that a man should not cry, right?
Yeah.
But films can make us cry, right? And I don't cry a lot watching films, but there was this film which I watched, which the name is Dunkirk. I don't know whether I'm saying the name correctly or not, but the spelling is Dunkirk. It's a war-based film, and I think war is a subject which is, which shows a side of humanity which is so disturbing, right? We have war since our civilization started. People are fighting, and to watch a film on that, and that film was able to move me from my core, and I really couldn't stop my tears while watching that film. The film has very less dialogue. There is hardly anything happening, but what you see there, that a side of humans which we don't see in our ordinary life. We haven't been to war, neither our family has been victim of. I pray that we should never go through that. But while watching that film, where I just said that there is hardly any dialogue, but to be able to, and you know what, the filmmaker, he is Christopher Nolan. He's such a beautiful filmmaker, and the way he has made that film, it is beyond describable, and I don't think I can ever describe that. And just as I'm saying that, if a film is able to make you cry, you can imagine how good that film is. Anything else? Who wants to ask next? Now here you go.
Who is your favorite comedian?
Well, if I say somebody from other country, you might think that I'm trying to be smart here. But I hardly watch any comedy from our country. I do love Abhishek, who is a stand-up comedian, but he is not so active. Once in a while he uploads a video. But there is this guy Theo Von. He's American, and he puts content almost every week. he is a host of a podcast, and he's a comedian too. So I really love the way he talks. You know, there is this wordsmith. Wordsmith. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That the way he like there is goldsmith, right? And he is wordsmith. I believe that. You know, he's very crafty with words, and I really love. You know, even though he's from America and I'm Bihari, I'm Indian, to be able to relate with his absurdity, the way he talks, I think that's what makes him really close to me. I'm able to relate with him. He talks nonsense. He talks about ordinary things in such a comic way that even though there is a huge cultural difference, but still I'm able to relate with that. So I would say Theo Von is my favorite comedian. So is there anything else you want to ask? Thank you guys. Thank you for listening me.